You are lying to yourself by assuming that someday you're going to be happy and everything is going to be fine.
And if you're looking for happiness and you're never finding it, gee, I wonder why. We should probably look at what's going on inside your head.
Hey, everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Emilia for episode 533, The Truth About Trying to Be Happy All the Time. Bianca and I are going to stop having conversations that are too fluffy, if you will. And so this one, if you haven't kind of caught the vibe of the last couple of episodes, one of the things that we really care about at Evolve is making sure that there is candor throughout, which is kind of some of that brutal truth that y'all are coming to us asking us for. So the truth about trying to be happy all the time is going to be no exception to that rule. So let's talk about where that came from.
Saddle up. I was on a call with a client yesterday, and he's somebody that I've been working with for 3 years now. And he is somebody that just for the life of him, he cannot get out of his own way. He, relationships, jobs, his relationship to his body, his relationship to food, his relationship to vices, his daily habits. It's just, everything is so... Everything is just so intertwined with each other. And he just cannot get out of his own way. And he's asked me to be a little bit more, have a little bit more candor with him. I was going to say, is candorous a word? I don't think so. Have a little bit more candor with him. So I was relatively blunt with him the other day, and he gave me consent, so I led with that. And he's like, I just don't understand, because we were talking about his relationship and a job that he's looking at. And he said, I just don't understand. I don't understand why, like, I love her, but I can't stand being with her. And I keep looking at other women. And he's like, I effing hate my job. And I just want to leave. And I said, I'm going to call him Mark. I said, Mark, can I be honest with you? And he's like, yeah. And I said, you have run this pattern so many times in the span that we have been working together. You get a new job or you get a new situation because you feel bad about yourself. So you don't do any assessment into whether or not this is actually a good decision for you. You actually keep entering into these situations out of shame and out of a shame-based narrative. So you're coming into this situation from a bad start, convincing yourself it's a good idea. Then, when it doesn't go the way you thought it was going to, you believe that something is wrong with the situation, and then you look for an escape, whether it's a new job or a new relationship or whatever the case may be. The truth that you don't want to face is that you are expecting this situation to finally, quote unquote, fix you. This is going to fix your pain. This is going to finally stop making you feel bad about yourself. This is going to, quote unquote, heal whatever those negative feelings are that you're having. Ultimately, this is finally going to be the thing that makes you happy. And it's why you keep ending up in these destructive cycles. I said, you choose shitty jobs over and over again. You have chosen shitty relationships, and not for nothing, you've been a shitty partner over and over again. Oh yeah, it was
those
rough.
Waves of candor were like, wait a second.
Oh, it was
I thought
rough.
I wanted this. I don't know if I do.
I wasn't that blunt, but
No, I know.
I'm adding a little bit of exaggeration here to get the point to land.
Right.
You've been a shitty partner. You've engaged in really unhelpful, maladaptive behaviors. And then you wonder why your life keeps getting worse. And he was like, all right, so let's go to the next topic. And I was like, yeah, yep. I know that that sounds like an extreme case, but if you are listening to this, I would be willing to bet that you are doing the same thing.
Hmm.
And I know that's a hard truth. And I did it too. So I'm the first one to call myself out on my bullshit. We all do it. And we
Hmm.
need to stop.
Well, let's think about like why are we doing that? Why is it such a tendency that so many of us experience at different realms in our life, different chapters or seasons or what have you, right? Like let's go back to first principles. Why are we trying to be happy all the time?
Can you explain what first principles are before you dive into your explanation? What are first principles?
First principles are like the very baseline. You can't slice it um anymore. It is the foundational of what we build everything else upon. So if we're talking about this client, we are talking at like a surface level of what the after you pare everything down, you can't pare it down anymore. So it's like the atomic, it's the atom of a topic that you're talking about. And first principles is taking a look at like again, get all the noise out and just focus on the deep down aspect.
So it's like the fundamental principles of a thing.
Sure. Yeah. I try not to use
Eh,
the word principles when you ask for a definition of first principles, but yeah, fundamentals. It's the
It's
foundation, right,
it's
of
the core
everything.
fundamentals. Yeah, the
Sure.
foundation of something.
Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
just putting it in layman's terms.
I love it. Okay. So
Okay,
so
great.
again, and we can get there by first asking ourselves the question, why are we trying to be happy all the time? Trying, happy all the time. I see three aspects there.
Right.
Why is that happening? Why are we consistently trying? Number one. Why are we trying to be happy? Cue the emotion. Why are we trying to be happy? And then why are we trying to be happy all the time? Three questions, essentially, that will ground us back down to first principles.
Can we dive into the second one? Can you define what happiness is? Just so we can get what it actually is versus what people think it is. Because I think this is an important, I think we have to have this dialogue and we have to break these things down in order for us to get the point across that you're chasing the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So um, I want to actually pull up an app that I have that is really helping a lot of clients right now.
Ooh.
That so I'm going to break it down from kind of a standpoint of what we currently know about emotional science, for lack of better words. So if I look for a quote unquote happy,
Wait, what's the app?
sorry, the app is How We Feel.
Ooh,
Okay.
I
So
like it.
you go into the app and you essentially do an emotional check in. Okay, boom. It breaks it into four quadrants of, is it a pleasant experience that you're having? Unpleasant? Is it high energy or low energy? Which is essentially the balance scale of emotions and the arousal scale of emotions, which
Mm-hmm.
is a really great place to start. So when you go and pick that emotion, it shares that quote unquote definition. And I want to share that because I think that it's a really like number one, it's helped train me to teach other people about basic emotions. And what the definition is here, very pleased and filled with joy. So happy is being very pleased and filled with joy. Now, I say that because happiness is happy, 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 happy for an extended amount of time. What we think it is, though, is this nonstop mood that becomes a
Baseline.
state, that becomes the ocean that we just consistently emotionally swim in. And my brain wants to go into one cannot experience being happy if, per fundamental definitions we have, you also, on the other side of the spectrum, right? It's called, we use this all the time, Bianca, invert opposite. Do you know what being very displeased feels like? Do you know what it feels like to be absence, not filled with joy, but absent of joy. You experience happy, you experience emotions to the degree that you experience their opposite emotion. So, why does that matter? We think happiness is this constant state of euphoria. And it's just like in that bucket of like never suffering, never displeased, never feeling anti joy or anything other than joy. So, just like this bright yellow smiley face just comes on that's like plastered, like always happy. And it's like, why are we trying to feel happy all the time?
Why are we also convinced that that is the best emotion to feel all the time? Because I
Great
think
question.
that is the bigger issue.
Mm-hmm.
We've been sold this bullshit narrative that the best people on earth, the best people to be around are happy people. And I say this knowing that Emilia and I just had a conversation last week where I said I have a negative relationship to the fact that I am at baseline a sad person. Like my baseline emotion is more
Melancholy.
melancholy, thank you. So like again, first person to speak up on my own bullshit. I'm not speaking from some high horse.
Mm.
We have all, me included, been sold this narrative that being a happy person is to be a better person.
Yeah.
Because we're all running away from our emotions. We all have this idea that emotions are bad.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to feel them, and you're a weaker, lesser person if you do.
Or something's wrong or defective or broken about you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happiness is not going to get you the life that you want. Grit, resistance, work ethic, determination, the ability to tolerate distress and suffering. Those
Mm-hmm.
are the real things that are going to get you the life that you want, not being happy all the time. And we have this delusion that if we chase this thing, if I finally get the guy to choose me, if I finally get that girl to sleep with me, if I finally get the job, if I finally have X number of dollars in my bank account, oh my God, I'm just not going to suffer anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, 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 that's not how it works. Because every new achievement, every new outcome, every new experience that you then enter into brings its own challenges, its own problems, another layer of suffering that you are then going to have to navigate through.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of problems associated with being poor. There's also a lot of problems associated with having money. There's a lot of problems associated with not being attractive. There's a lot of problems associated with being beautiful, and nobody wants to have that conversation. There's a lot of problems with being tall and short. There's a lot of problems with being overweight and super fit. Everything has problems laden within it, but we don't
Mm-hmm.
want to have this conversation. It's like, no, it's gonna be great when I get this. And then when it's not, we're like, wait, what happened? What happened? Is there something wrong with me? Yeah, what you thought was gonna happen.
I was just gonna say the only thing wrong in that, from if we just listen to the narrative of the if and whens, right? It's embedded into our languaging, where I kind of like the way in which I visualize it is whenever I hear an if in someone's statement, if I get that like it's just an unconscious narrative, right? That's laden within our automatic thoughts. If I get that girlfriend or if I get this new job, then I will quote unquote promise, you name it, right? To fill in the blanks. It's one of my favorite if thens. We can examine our thoughts. We can understand what we're trying to run away from. Because the if X, which is our behavior that we are suggesting we should be doing or are socially conditioned to believe that needs to happen in order for Y to occur, or then I will be lovable, or then I will become unbroken, or then I will be healed or fixed, or whatever. Like insert whatever narrative you want to put on that ad lib, for lack of better words. It literally only forces you on this train track of thoughts that is forcing you to either arrive or not. It is literally so binary. And this is where that arrival fantasy or fallacy, if you will, and our quote unquote conditioning and high pressure, high value comes with achievement. And if you're not achieving, then all of a sudden you're like discarded, you're nothing, you have no value. So we literally in real time are outsourcing our sense of worth and value to the world for one day it to bring us a lack of the suffering, the challenges, the problems that is inherently built in within life. So if I get this new car, then all my problems will go away. Notice how the framing of our thoughts in that one track mind is so focused on, okay, what I can do, which will relieve or take away the quote unquote emotion. So back to one thing that you said earlier, Bianca, like happiness is the quote unquote anchor that for so much of the narrative around emotions, it's like happiness is the anchor. The chain that's attached to happiness attaches to the boat of life we try to navigate. And we go through the calm seas, tough storms, et cetera, et cetera. But if our emotional experience, which is what the boat is, goes further out to like sadness or challenge or frustration or anger or grit or micro joys, because it's not 100% in alignment with that happiness, quote unquote, anchor, there's something wrong, we're defective, we're unlovable, XYZ. And it's just such a ridiculous way of thinking that a lot of people never unlearn how not to think. Because if you're constantly in your own narratives, telling yourself and selling yourself this false belief that when you reach or when you do or when you are all of a sudden this certain way, it's going to bring this complete permanence of happiness, fulfillment, success, etc., which is an absence of suffering. And just in that embedded is a lack of duality that is life. Where there's light, there's also darkness. Where there's happiness, there's also sadness. Sadness only exists because happiness exists. Happiness only exists because there's the ability to feel sad or unpleasant or lack of joy. And I think we lose sight of how ridiculous trying to be happy all the time is, and how unfair it is to our freaking nervous systems, because it's literally just such a lie. What do we do if that's the case? What are thoughts kind of as we kind of shift gears on this one?
I have two things that I want to add to this. Number one, being happy is not the best way to experience life. I have made more, and again, I say this as somebody who is in my own way trying to navigate through my own challenges in this, so like bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
My career, the connections that I have made, the friendships that I've developed, the clients that come to see me and that stick the longest have all been built on this deep existentialism and sadness that I've faced my whole life. I can connect with people at the deepest levels because of my sadness, not despite it, because I get it. And there's happiness embedded in that. And that has been my reality, but I'm in the process of like admitting that that's admitting and accepting that that's my reality. So that's where I'm on my own growth phase right now. But enjoying an experience through the emotion of happiness is not necessarily the best way to experience life. Like, you're not happy watching a sad movie, you're bawling your eyes out, but there's enjoyment in that. I think if we stop focusing on happiness and focus on enjoyment and develop a new narrative about what enjoyment can mean and what fulfillment can mean, that is a better way to analyze it. Now, Emilia, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this, but you mentioned getting a new car. I know you like shared that on your story, so I don't know if you're open to actually diving into it here on this platform. Or before I ask questions, are you open to diving into that?
Yeah.
even just high level?
And if
Okay.
it's something that I think will put me outside of alignment with the boundaries that Alan and I have talked about
Okay.
already, then I will
Shield
redirect.
bump. Perfect.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just recently invested in a new vehicle.
I consider it a spaceship, but yes.
Okay. Unicorn Emilia just invested in a spaceship. That thing is a tank. What was the thought process underneath getting that? Because you investing in that, which for like 99% of people it is not an investment, it's a waste of money.
I
But
also, to some
I
degree, think it's
thank
a
you.
waste of money.
Thank you. I was going to get to that point.
It's not even an
But
investment. I don't categorize it as such, but because of how I use it and the decision-making process that you're trying to reveal, it is.
that's why I'm saying it's an investment. For
Right.
you specifically, because of the way that you intend on using it, it is an investment.
Mhm.
So what you bought is somebody's absolute dream. Most
Mm.
people never will think and believe that buying that kind of car, I don't know if you're comfortable sharing the numbers around it or even a ballpark
Sure.
around the numbers around it, but you spent an exorbitant amount of money on that vehicle, on that truck. From my understanding, in no way, shape, or form. So you got this thing that is somebody's dream. Most people will never in their life be able to afford that. They
So
just
just
won't.
for context, this is super uncomfortable, but I think it's important to share, and there's going to be judgments all around that. That's okay. I'm happy to have conversations around this. But what we're talking from a number standpoint, it's around $100,000 of a truck, vehicle, essentially tank. And it drives itself.
Okay.
Okay.
So you bought this self-driving truck
Mm-hmm.
and you have 1,000 reasons why you did it. That's not the point of this. It kind of
So
is, but not really.
sure, 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 sure. One of them, I'll tell you, was not to make Emilia happy.
So hold on, that's the point that I'm going to make.
Yeah.
Was this decision in any way, shape, or form, did you go into this situation with any thought, with any feeling that this is now somehow going to make you happy and going to eliminate the pain that you experience in your day-to-day life?
So, first thought is hell no. Number one, I go into every consideration knowing that there are more problems with every decision. And
Thank
it's
you.
just a
Can you like
matter of,
unpack all of that? That's why I wanted
yeah,
to bring this up.
so everything, so whenever there's change, right? Again, new job, new truck, new house, whatever, like old, secondhand, used, whatever. Like I even go to like a secondhand book. You buy a secondhand book, there's the problem that there's maybe stains on it or it smells moldy, right? Like it's not the concept of new or old. It's really about when I go into making decisions, I recognize and inherently have built within my consideration set that happiness is not my quote unquote gauge or factor of is this quote unquote thing going to provide me more happiness? No, my consideration set is based on and predicated on my values and understanding the process that's going to be required of me inherently because I believe in the law of trade offs. The law of trade offs is essentially understanding that everything comes with something. So, for example, while you might hear that's insane, $100,000 in terms of value, that's wild. Why would you ever do that? Well, what you don't know is what has been traded off for the last 9, 10 years and the decision making and the financial fiduciary responsibilities and the strategic very much thinking as to like why that would be a helpful investment in my life in this phase.
Mhm.
Happiness has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with values that I have, and ultimately how this will become a tool in my current life, and how that will build a better, brighter future. Ironically, but no one would ever see it from that standpoint, and it sure as hell isn't about happiness. What
Right.
brings me fulfillment is being able to do what I love every single day, which is build the Evolve ecosystem for people who need us. And how I build that and how effective I am at building that and maintaining that and nourishing that is predicated on the investments that I make every single day in every single way that is actually not the absence or relief seeking of suffering, but how willing I am as an individual to go through the suffering and challenges and problems that are inherently life, not be a child and run away from them.
There is enjoyment throughout it, but that is not the purpose of it. Like, I can
100%. But that's because
imagine,
of how I make enjoyment happen. Again, my
yes,
vantage point of life. What, again, focusing in on the process. It's not even about that moment. It's about the process of becoming someone who is capable of doing certain things. And it's not even about that. It's about that's just a blip on the radar in comparison to what we're going to be able to do for other people.
right. Kind of full circle. We are not saying you're never gonna be happy.
True.
That is not the takeaway from this. The takeaway from this is chasing happiness when what you're really chasing is relief, is costing you your life. It is costing you success. It is costing you achievement. It is costing you love. It is costing you opportunities.
Yeah.
And the people, i.e., Emilia and I'm working toward it, who do not optimize for happiness and who instead focus on fulfillment, holistic well being, and being able to tolerate distress and suffering better, have the better and best qualities of life. It comes after, not first. Everyone who's chasing quality of life is actually miserable. And I can say that with my full chest because Emilia and I talk to them behind the scenes. The people who seem like they're kikiing it up and they have the best lives possible are fucking miserable behind the scenes. They are miserable. But they look happy. They look happy. And they're
There's a
not.
smile on their face.
In this moment, I know you guys might not think it, I am in such fulfillment and joy and happiness right now. Right now, in this conversation. This is freaking awesome.
As am
And
I, because literally the degree of like suffering, like this is so uncomfortable for me, any of my personal details to be available. But I know like me just being quote unquote this non-human isn't helpful for anyone.
And 30 minutes ago, we had group coaching office hours where we were talking about the freaking depths of hell with people from the group. And that was also amazing because we can find the meaning in the sadness. We can find the meaning in those experiences in the depth.
Yeah.
You can live a surface level life, but you're going to have surface level experiences and you're never going to have a deeply fulfilled life. Stop chasing happiness. Stop chasing relief. Stop chasing immediate satisfaction. Start looking for real meaning and fulfillment. And that is going to give you what you're actually looking for, which is a holistically well, emotionally and holistically abundant life. And yes, happiness is one facet of it, but so is grief, and so is despair, and so is longing, and so is shame, and so are all of the heavy emotions that we don't want to feel. Because you cannot get to where Emilia and I if you do not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's such an interesting fascination around if you ironically because life is so paradoxical. If you focus on challenge, grit, suffering, but have a positive outlook towards it, like it will help in the process of your becoming, you're ironically going to have more happiness than the person that's focused on happiness and outrunning anything that's not, like, again, the anchor in the boat close to that. And it's just wild how the different frame of emotions, if you understand that it is a byproduct along the way, happiness will be a byproduct along the way that will show up if you reorient your North Star towards process, gratitude, and fulfillment, redefining success on the day to day, maybe not measuring yourself on 10 years from now when you literally are just in the process of building of that. It is really important to recognize how much the fallacy, how the thought orientation, how everything that we spoke about in this episode is probably robbing you of a very well-lived life on your terms, in your values, in alignment with your aspirations. And to what we hear all the time from our clients, it is something that either you can continue, or you can maybe say, ooh, this pinched a nerve, and then go explore what that would be, what you could change, how you could evolve. So to that end, we encourage you. I have an episode suggestion for anyone that is open and ready to that, which is 428, how to create a joy-filled life by design, not by default, which really goes into how to become the architect of what Bianca and I are talking about. So go ahead and take a listen to that. Bianca, final thoughts?
No, I think I went on my rant enough.
I'm grateful for the rant. I mean, in all fairness, you and I see so many people just chasing. It's like the carrot and the stick. Like, thing is, it's an illusion of the carrot that we've all been sold.
And you're getting beaten by the stick, deluding yourself that you're not.
I know. And we just like have learned to just take the stick and start like slapping ourselves and beating ourselves with it. And it's like, my goodness, we really don't need to do this. But that's neither here nor there. All right, everyone. Thank you for your interest in the science of holistic mental health. We encourage you to keep evolving. We're always here for you and excited for your journey.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.